The same people that shouted for him, he is the king of Jerusalem, king of Israel, son of David, because of his miracles and because he fed them. 5-6 days later, they shouted, crucify him. Did the miracle make the faith?
If you say, you should believe me because I wrote that book, that doesn't make you too credible. Where's your research? What are you based on?
Okay.
Show me something that I will take. Don't tell me you should believe it because I said it.
If we take this line and we extend it, we'll not believe anything.
We talk about the faith, the church, and it looks like we're defending a book or an institution. And ideally it's not. They are in love with God. That's it. And he caters to them. If they need miracles, they get miracles.
Hi, Danny.
Hello, Fadi.
And hi, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Broadcast. What is the Broadcast, Danny? What are we going to do?
Everything. It's an almost a no limits show.
No limits?
No, don't go too far.
OMG.
But hello, come back to Gen Z. You're outdated. لا بس I'll tell you, where nothing is off limits, no topic is off limits, almost. That's the aim. If it goes anyway, other than that, I'm not playing.
That's why it's broad.
200%. 200%. 200%. We're doing that. We're not limited to anything, and we're not just going to be discussing things ourselves. I mean, today, what we're going to talk about today was not originally our idea. I mean, this came through questions.
Yes.
And because of that, that's how things are going to be. We're going to get requests. We're going to get ideas, suggestions from everyone who watches. Anything you want, you talk about, we're going to try and help. We're going to talk with you on it. If you participate, that would be amazing. We believe that it's so much better when not only limited to the both of us. So let's try and do that.
So our team will always be sharing the social media of the podcast, and we'll be happy to receive all your questions, all your suggestions, all your topics, and we are more than happy to discuss them together. So what we are going to kick off with today?
Okay, I'll tell you. What was the last fasting season we had?
The fasting of the Virgin Mary.
Well, that's not what they talk. That's not how they say it, because she didn't fast that way.
Yes.
Then who did?
The apostles.
And even the fasting of the apostles, was it them who fasted?
No, the church did for them.
This is weird naming, but So the apostles didn't fast the fast of the apostles. Everyone did, and the fasting of St. Mary she did not fast that fasting. The apostles did.
Yes.
And why did they?
Because they went to her tomb after she was buried there, according to tradition, because this is not mentioned in the Bible, and they did not find her body there. So they dedicated 15 days of fasting until God revealed to them what happened to her body. When St. Thomas was coming back from India, he saw her body elevated by the angels. She met him. She gave him a red piece of cloth. And he returned back to the apostles. He showed it to them, and they prayed together and fasted until God showed them where is the body of the Virgin Mary is stored.
Where is it stored?
Maybe in the paradise. We're not really sure.
So we're not sure about where the body is. Yes. We're not sure about anything. We're just following the story of St. Thomas.
We can call it the church tradition.
Any which way you want to call it. So it's the story of St. Thomas according to church tradition. Agreed.
Yes.
And he came back from India with a piece of cloth saying that this belonged to the Virgin Mary. And
true.
And he got this through some sort of apparition.
Yes.
That no one else saw.
Except him? No.
His singular story.
Exactly.
And yet all the other disciples believed him because...
But this is not a singularity. Who said that Moses met God and took the 10 commandments except Moses?
Yeah, I agree.
So we believe in this, and it can be a single person an eyewitness who can tell us a story and we will believe it.
Have you seen the film called History of the World? It's an old film, 1980s.
No, I'm not that old.
Oh, you're so no, well, watch it. It has this idea of.
It's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
Okay.
Well, bits and pieces.
Okay.
For copyright reasons, I don't know what's what. But if you watch it, it gives you an idea of why you're taking one person's version of the story.
Moses went to the mountain, and God spoke unto him.
Moses, this is the Lord thy God, commanding you to obey my law. Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. A deaf man could hear you.
What?
Nothing, forget it. Oh, Lord, why have you chosen me? What would you have me do for you?
I shall give you my laws, and you shall take them unto the people.
Yes, Lord! Lord, I shall give these laws unto thy people. Hear me! Oh, hear me! All pay heed! The Lord Jehovah, has given unto you these 15... 10 commandments for all to obey.
What was that?
It was a version of the story that we never knew because he dropped.
This is a hilarious science fiction, not science fiction. It's a fairy tale,
it's a
fictitious story.
It's a farce on history.
Yeah.
It's a farce on biblical stories, which you have to be careful with. But it is what it is. It's that way. But that's what I'm telling you about. Taking one person's version of the story and going along with it. We're sticking to the version that Moses wrote. Yeah. Presuming that he wrote all 5 books of the Torah, Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, etc., etc. So, why are we sticking to that story? It's St. Thomas's story.
Yes. Again, it depends who is the one writing the story. So, if Moses is a leading figure in the Old Testament and the most famous Jewish leader and the most important prophet for all the Jewish people. And even in Christianity, he is known as the man who is speaking to God all the time. So when he speaks, it's important to believe his testimony. We are talking also about St. Thomas. Why should St. Thomas fabricate such a story about seeing the Virgin Mary? And he is one of the witnesses who sacrificed their life for their beliefs and their belief in the resurrection of Christ. Why should he fabricate this story?
My good man, at the time, he had not sacrificed his life. He was alive. At the time of Jesus Christ, he did not believe everything about Jesus Christ.
Definitely.
So,
but this is after the resurrection.
Why believe
And he was already preaching. This is after the Holy Spirit as well.
I love you,
the
man.
Pentecost.
Excellent. Well and good.
Yeah.
But he came back from India with a story. Even his brothers, the disciples, they did not take his story for granted. Which is only fair. If he doubts everything and everyone, why should they doubted him? Hence the fasting.
Okay.
Am I correct or am I incorrect?
If we take this line and we extend it, we will not believe anything.
So people are non-believers for that same reasons, and they have a good reason to. And St. Thomas uses that belt from St. Mary that was given to him, according to him, as physical proof of his story.
Yes.
Yes?
True.
Did they believe him?
Maybe some of them believed, maybe not.
Your story says that they didn't.
Yeah, because that's why they fasted.
And that's why they fasted. And then what happened?
And he fasted with them.
Agreed. And then what happened?
God showed to them what happened to the Virgin Mary's body.
And what? And did he show them the belt, this belt being given to St. Thomas?
God himself, according to the story, no. It was already given to St. Thomas.
Very well. Then because God's revelation to them of that story, they believed the physical proof that he had.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So it actually solidified his story. Then you can start believing it. So physical evidence is somewhat required to believe.
Yes, and without it's also physical evidence, we should believe. The Lord himself, when he appeared to Thomas after the resurrection, he told him, Thomas, blessed are those who believe and don't see.
Yes, and if you read St. Paul's epistles to the Hebrews, chapter 11, verse 1, and he describes faith.
Exactly.
It's things that are unseen.
Yes, correct.
Well, if you keep yesing everything, then why is there physical proof of everything? Why did he come back with a belt? Why did the Virgin Mary give him a belt?
God usually deals with everyone according to his mentality. We know that St. Thomas was a doubter all the time. And he was doubting everything. That's why when the disciples told him that they saw the Lord after the resurrection, he did not believe until the Lord himself appeared and showed him the places of the wounds and the nails. And then he gave the bigger lesson, which is you don't have to see everything in order to believe. It seems that St. Thomas kept the same type of personality even after the resurrection. That's why the Lord allowed that he sees this belt and takes this belt from the Virgin Mary in order to make sure that this man who is always doubting everything will have a physical proof to prove. And God works on this way. God can go to the Samaritan woman and tell her about something that happened in her life.
Yes.
And then she would believe in him. God can speak to Nicodemus, for example, and talk to him about some spiritual meanings, and Nicodemus will believe. God can tell, for example, or can do a miracle for someone, and someone will believe. He can just teach, and someone will believe. I mean that God is dealing with everyone according to his personality in order to bring everyone to his kingdom. So some people need physical proofs, some people don't. This is the idea.
I understand. I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
I don't always find it that easy to understand and accept what you're saying, because to me, I mean, believing in God, believing in and his book, the Bible, is supposed to be the constant in an ever-changing world. You want something that is constant.
Yes.
Okay? Yet that constant tells you, I want faith, which is unseen, but yet I'm going to give you physical proof, which is seen. So do you see the contradiction? Or it looks...
Because God knows, it's not a contradiction. God knows our nature. By our nature, we are just, our faith is still humble and still not mature enough. So he is giving us always something as a proof, and then he is taking us to the higher level. Let me give you a broader example, as we are the broadcast. For example, in the Old Testament, God in the 10 Commandments, he was telling everyone, you should not kill, you should not commit adultery. This is very basic. But when he came to the New Testament, he said, you heard Moses saying, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you, whoever looks in a lustful way to a woman, he is committing adultery. So he is taking the commandment to another higher level. This is what the Lord is doing with us. Some people needs miracle, and then he is taking their faith to another higher level. The commandments, the same. He is giving us the milk at the beginning, and then he is giving us more mature food we can digest later on.
That's lovely to say. That sounds great, but that divides everyone into categories of believers or people who accept God. However, I don't see it that way. I see that everyone needs physical proof. We all need what is in the Bible and what you just quoted, milk. We all need it.
Physical or logical, it differs.
Any which way. I mean, I don't think that there's a part of the 10 of the 2 tablets of the 10 Commandments anywhere.
Okay.
I think they were kept in the Ark of the Covenant,
yes.
And then the Ark
we don't know
got lost
place,
unless you watch Raiders of the Lost Ark.
But they were physically existing
by Indiana Jones. Well, yes, of course, but you know that because of the drawings and the writings, the copies of them, never the originals. Yes, the Ark is lost, and that's the good reason.
But it's mentioned in the Bible that they were kept inside the Ark.
Yes.
Yeah. Paul mentioned this as well.
We'll take all versions and all proofs from the Bible. Yes, of course. However,
yes,
if you are getting introduced to Christianity or to God, or even if you are a believer, you still need physical proof.
Physical proof means a miracle. Something proves a miracle, or defines a physical proof.
What is the proof that Jesus, the church takes as official that Jesus was alive and was crucified, or was buried, was resurrected, and ascended into heaven?
We have many several evidence for that, but we can say at least the gospel accounts written by the first eyewitnesses.
Excellent. And these are our accounts, our people writing our versions, their versions of the story, and the versions we chose to believe of that story.
Yes.
And if you say you should believe me because I wrote that book, that doesn't make you too credible. You should tell me. Where's your research? What are you based on? Show me something that I will take. Don't tell me you should believe it because I said it.
Okay. So if we are talking now about talking about what is the proof that Jesus was real. And what happened to his life was real. We can talking about the historical Jesus.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, we have the biblical accounts. Maybe we don't underestimate the biblical accounts because of many things. First of all, the eyewitnesses who lived with Jesus, who wrote these books, sacrificed their lives willingly for the story that they wrote. If they believe it's a lie, why would they sacrifice their life? No one would sacrifice his life for a lie, and he knows it's a lie. He would die for it if he thinks it's the truth. He does not know it's a lie.
I heard that before. I understand it. I agree to it to a great extent. People would, if you believe in something bigger than you, if you believe that you want to keep that lie going,
yes,
you just might want to say.
But I will lose.
It's a very low probability. I will give you that. I will not say
I will lose my eternity for something. I know it's a lie.
Well, if you think it's bigger, it's more important to keep propagating that lie. You just might. I understand the difficulty of it because it's counter instinctive. Really, our instinct is to survive, exactly. Not to die.
Yes.
So I understand that, but again, in the very minimal chance that there is.
Yes.
Well and good, but give me something. Give me some. I believe that cell phones exist because I have one.
So again, if we are talking about the historical Jesus, we have the biblical accounts. The biblical accounts who were written by people who sacrificed their lives for the sake of what believed this was the truth, and they were eyewitnesses. They recorded as well that they saw Jesus as we are seeing each other right now, and they recorded this in a document written like 20 years only after the death and resurrection of Christ. And this is a very close period to document something. When we say about what we can say, if we say, remember the incident that happened in Egypt during 2011, there was some famous incident happened in the Tahrir Square, and some people died. And today we are in 2024, which means 13 years later, and we still don't know what happened exactly, despite it was like 13 years old.
Yes.
But when people write behind the incident, recording what happened correctly, this would be the truth.
That would make them great historians.
Yes.
Please. But I'm a much simpler man.
I'm trying to prove to you historically that Jesus lived.
I need milk.
Okay.
I need milk. Don't talk to me about
today is Wednesday.
Being an accurate. Oh my God, man! I'm going to shoot myself in the head. Talk to me talk simply. Give me simple things. I mean, why did miracles happen? Why was the documentation of Jesus' life have a lot of miracles? Because they're simple.
Yes.
Because they make sense to everyone. Because they're easy to digest, even though they're above natural law.
Yes.
But they're easy to access. Do you get? Not difficult to access them. So that's what I need to know. If he was there, what did he look like? Where was he? Where was he buried? Have you ever gone to Israel? Have you gone
to
all the holy sites?
Unfortunately not.
Well, if you go, they give you souvenirs of everything. Here Jesus walked. Here Jesus was. Here's Jordan. Jesus was baptized. Here, have some water. It's a blessing.
Okay.
They make it's merch. It's merchandise. Everyone gets a bit of it, and it's holy. And oh God, this is lovely. I'm now going to be blessed. And it's a thing, fam. Do you get it?
Yes.
And when you do it, sometimes sometimes it doesn't become that strong. But I still understand. Why would people go? I mean, I might go if I get a chance. However, what I'm telling you is we need something. We need something this simple. Tell me what he looked like. Tell me where he was. Prove it. Tell me that he wore these sunglasses, and if you wear them, you're going to see things differently. You're going to do. So
I'm
miracles.
just a little bit distracted. We want to talk about the historical Jesus or the miracles, or which one?
I want you to tell me what he looked like and why. I want you to tell me why did things happen there and why.
Okay.
And how do you prove it? I mean, if you give me miraculous proof, I'll give it to you. Okay, let me give you an example.
Okay.
If you go to France France and Italy, they have a lot of what they call it Christian artifacts. A few years ago, the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris got burnt down.
Yes.
And what they managed they found 2 sarcophagi beneath it, and they just found out who was just one of them who was buried there. However, one of the most important Christian artifacts there is a part of the crown of thorns that Jesus wore.
Okay.
A bit of one of the spears. I'm not sure if it's the one that actually stabbed Jesus Christ in the side, and 1 or 2 of the nails that Jesus was crucified with. That's what's there.
I saw nails also as well in Venice, in Italy.
Which begs, I even have a better story. Are you familiar with the Veronica veil?
Yes.
And there's another veil.
Which one?
In Monopolo, in Italy, the Veronica veil, where Lady Veronica just supposed to have given Jesus this veil to dry his sweat and blood, and then his face was imprinted on it.
Yes.
Okay, where is that? That's in Vatican City. Comes out once a year on Passion Sunday.
Okay,
and it's displayed to the masses on a balcony for 2 minutes. Every year.
Okay.
2 minutes a year.
Did anyone make some investigations, research on it?
Ideally, yes. And then there's the Monopolo.
They proved it is the original one?
Well, Pope, I can't remember, Pius the Fourth says that it was the original one, and he made copies of it, and every copy was blessed had to touch the original one, and then it was sent out. And because miracles happened connected to this veil and the other replicas of the veil, people started believing that it's authentic. However, there are 2 of them. I'm not sure which. Well, the one in Vatican City is ideally the original one. The veil they even call it the Veronica. They don't call it the veil anymore. And what is now being used as further proof of it being an original is how it's very close to the face of Jesus on the Turin shroud. You're familiar with the shroud of Turin?
Yes, sure.
If you put both veils here, they look like they're for the same man, who is. I remember I was talking to Monica a few weeks ago, and she was telling me he's not as handsome as I thought, which is interesting, and it actually makes sense now when you watch. The Chosen and the Jesus character looks pleasant, but not the most handsome one. Very pleasant.
But again, when he's under torture, he will be different.
The features are and God forbid when someone does pass on, the features are generally relaxed. However, that's what we're talking about are proofs that Jesus was there.
Yes.
And this shroud was found ideally in the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea, where Jesus was buried, etc., etc. We believe them because of the miracles. We believe them because when science...
Who are we? Christians or everyone?
Mostly Christians. I mean, the latest...
But not every Christian believe in these artifacts, by the way. Jesus himself did not want to relate our faith to make it dependent on miracles. He wants to go on a higher level and a higher standard of belief.
Yes, but you cannot move to a higher standard of belief unless you go to the basic one. We cannot just ask people to believe.
But the basic is not related to miracles. Again, let's take, for example, the resurrection of Christ. We know that every year there is some kind of a miracle happens in
Jerusalem. Yes, the light and all that.
Exactly, the holy fire or the holy light. Mm-hmm. What happens if this holy fire stopped appearing for 1 year? Does this doubt the resurrection of Christ?
You tell me.
I'm asking you.
Well, I'll tell you.
You want a miracle?
If the light doesn't come out every year, you'll see people coming back. You'll see people leaving.
That's a problem. Again,
you say
yes, that's a big problem because I'm still relating my faith to the miracle. Again, when Jesus was alive, he did hundreds of miracles. Many of them were recorded in the Bible. Not all of them for sure were recorded because of the important ones were recorded. The same people that shouted for him, he is the king of Jerusalem, king of Israel, son of David, because of his miracles and because he fed them. 5-6 days later, they shouted, crucify him. Did the miracle make the faith? No. Did it sustain the faith? No. I can say that the opposite way around is correct. Faith can create miracles. When Jesus said, if you have faith, like this tiny
mustard seed,
exactly, you can move mountains and you can tell the mountain, move from here to there, and it follows. But he never say, when you are a great believer, you will make miracles and this will be the sign of your faithfulness. When he said, learn from me, he did not say, learn from me, I am the miracle worker. He said, learn from me because I'm humble, I am modest, and so kind-hearted.
You're asking too much. You're asking for too much. It's not that easy.
Why?
It's not that you need the miracles. You need the milk. You cannot ask someone to move from being an infant to being an adult without giving him the milk. And I think God understood that. And that's why he left all these artifacts. That's why he gave all these proofs.
I need the miracle at a certain point, but not for everyone.
That's well and good. It's almost theorizing what actually happened. However, everyone to move up, they saw the miracles. The disciples themselves, who are the disciples, the fathers of the church, Peter, John, James, everyone. They're the fishermen who saw the fish get into the net, the ship sinking.
Do you think that the miracles themselves were the core of Jesus' message?
If it were,
he just wanted to prove his divinity for them.
So it's step one.
It was just like, we can say, collateral something or collateral effect to his bigger message.
I would say it's step one, and that's why he talked in parables to everyone.
Okay, let me ask a personal question. You allow me. Danny, you are a Christian, right?
They say.
Okay. Did you believe in Jesus because of his miracles? Did you witness one of them yourself?
Yes. I believe, I'll tell you that whatever I believe in, wherever I am on the faith scale, a good bit of it comes from personal exposure to what I believe is miraculous. You might argue that it's not miraculous, but there are incidents that would say that this is a supernatural event. This is above all. This cannot be a coincidence. There is that bit. Yes, I am that simple. I am not yet at the point where I see that the bigger miracle is the one of changing my life, of me changing directions. That is what the church keeps saying. I understand and believe that. However, I will tell you, I'm a much simpler man. And when things that are supernatural happen to me, they help me. I saw this documentary and I once attended a lecture on it, and they say that the shroud was, some acid fell on it and pierced it in different places, all the same. However, they did not distort the wounds that happened from all the whipping that happened to Jesus.
It was not acid, it was fire. It was pieces of silver, liquefied silver.
Yes, thanks for that. So they say that it fits the description of Jesus. They say it works, and that helps people believe. It's a step. It's a step.
But
the veil. Knowing what he looks like helps. I would say it even helps when instead of there's the historical Jesus existed. Historians, non-Christian historians,
many of them
talk about him. He was there.
Yes.
He's not a fictitious character.
Correct.
Okay, so in history he was there. Him being the divine Jesus is what we get from the Gospels. Now when we get these proofs, we understand, and even when miraculous events are connected to these artifacts that are related to Jesus, then it's further proof that he was God incarnate.
Okay. So
do you understand,
I understand
the need for it?
Okay, so let's stop a little bit at the Shroud of Turin, because that's a famous artifact. So the Shroud of Turin, you say that people needs to believe that this was the burial clothes of Christ, and this was a proof for him being existing and a proof for his death and resurrection. It's a proof of the gospel story, because there are other stories where he's not. Let me just crucified the sentence. So until maybe few months ago, or still as well, the science was proving that this piece of cloth was a forgery and returns back to the 13th and 14th century. So how can I relate my faith to something that's not yet credible by science? That is the problem. Science is changing, but I cannot change my faith based on some research that comes today and comes tomorrow. My faith is more deeper than this and is rooted back in the teaching of the Lord Jesus Christ and the testimony of the eyewitnesses that they shared with us through the Gospels. Again, that's a breakthrough that can tell us that this was the real burial clothes of Christ. That's very, very encouraging. I'm very enthusiastic about it. But if they did not reach this conclusion, I still believe Jesus rose from the dead.
Are you not stronger in your faith? Are you not? Does it not help you? Well, then why are you enthusiastic about it?
I'm enthusiastic because it will answer some of the doubters, some of the skeptics.
But you're okay.
I'm okay with it.
You're 200% okay.
Yeah.
It does not help.
If it is not the burial clothes of Christ, I still believe he rose from the dead. Come on.
But of course, it does not make you a stronger believer. It does not help you.
Not for me.
Not one bit.
Not for me.
Not at all.
I told you.
Oh man.
A few minutes ago, if the holy fire in Jerusalem does not come, I still believe Jesus rose from the dead. Every Christian, Danny, should be like this. We should not build our faith and relate it to miracles, because, again, until 2 months ago, before this discovery or this research, a lot of people were doubting this, and still some more people doubting the Shroud of Turin. Okay, so science was telling that this is a forgery. Science today is telling this is a true piece of cloth. Another research can tell us, no, it's still a forgery. I don't have to be
very well. So now,
like
now you're going to take us back to the original concept of faith transcending physical evidence.
Yes.
And what? Okay, that's lovely. But if it weren't the case, I mean, if Jesus had not catered to St. Thomas's doubts, and he was like shoulder to shoulder with Jesus,
yes,
and he had these doubts, and he died for God, he died for Jesus, okay,
yes.
Yet he was doubtful, man. Yet he came back, and the other disciples, and knowing that St. Thomas, who Jesus catered to his doubts, comes back with the story, they should have just believed him, but they didn't. They fasted until a bigger event, a supernatural event happened that all of them saw. It's like Pentecost again.
Yes.
All of them see this apparition at the same time, and they understand that the angels that God took the body of Saint Mary up to heaven, and it's not to be found on earth anymore.
Yes.
That is needed. Even the disciples needed it. What kills me, what kills sometimes, was that when there are verses that say that without faith he cannot be pleased, that the Son of Man would come and to seek and look for faith on earth.
Yes.
And there's such an emphasis on faith that transcends
correct
physical evidence, and yet you cannot do without the physical evidence for the very first step.
Okay.
Blessed are those who believe and have not seen.
Yes.
I understand, but I am betwixt. I mean, I'm in between these. I don't know what's what. Sometimes it works. Sometimes things happen, and I ask why.
I don't think we are saying different things. I believe we are saying in different ways. Jesus or God is dealing with everyone according to his character. Some people need physical evidence. Some people need logical evidence. Some people need to see an apparition from the Lord himself. That's why he dealt this way with Saul. His conversion came like this. He was reading all the books, he knew many things, but he needed to be dealt one-to-one personally with Jesus. And this is the way Paul converted. So God has different ways to bring all people to his kingdom. But again, when he was giving the physical proof to St. Thomas, just after St. Thomas shouted and said, "My Lord and my God," Jesus immediately rebuked him and told him, "Because you have seen, you believed. Blessed are those who have believed and have not seen." So when we talk about simple people, are there any simpler people than the people who were martyred in Libya in 2015? The people from Upper Egypt, very poor people. They didn't find a way of good living in Egypt, so they went to, we can say, a war zone in Libya to work there because they were desperate to find a good earning.
Yes.
And they were captured by ISIS, and we saw their martyrdom. It was
brutal.
It was brutal, and
barbaric.
It was broadcasted everywhere. But anyway, why did not God intervene by a miracle to save them, to keep their faith? He didn't, because they did not need that. Their faith was rooted inside their souls and their spirits. And they were very simple people. I don't believe that the Lord appeared to one of them and told him, as we know in church history, that happened to some saints, "Stay strong, stay fast, I will be with you, I will bless your name after your martyrdom." I don't think they witnessed any of this, but still they offered their lives when the sword was put on their necks.
You don't know. You don't think is one thing. We don't know for sure. Perhaps those of Libya and others who face similar circumstances, they had their own miracles earlier on. That's why they were steadfast then. And even if you read the Synaxarium and then so many stories of the saints, they would say he was tortured this way, that way, and the Lord himself appeared, or there was an angel that told him, "Stand fast, you will get through. I will heal you today for the sake of many, or I will heal for your own faith." To stand fast, to stick to the faith, to stick to me, to stick to me. Do you get it? It's not just about, we talk about the faith, the church, and it looks like we're defending a book or an institution. And ideally it's not. They are in love with God. They are in love with Christ. They see him, the person. And that's a topic for another day. But that's it. And he caters to them. If they need miracles, they get miracles. When was it? 1966 was it, or 68? When the Virgin Mary, they had this apparition in the church in Zaytun, and everyone comes from all over Egypt, all the way up to the president, all the way up to the simplest man. All our parents, they went, and why watch? Why go? Why go? I have a different story. I mean, not a different story, but I've heard other people have talked differently about this.
And many people doubted this apparition as well. Okay, it's needed for some people. I don't disagree with you on this. I still see and I still believe that God is dealing in personal way with each one. I can come to the Lord by reading just his words. You can come to the Lord by seeing a miracle. My friends here can come to the Lord by seeing an apparition. Someone else by seeing one of the brilliant minds of the world converting to Christianity, or by seeing one of the celebrities converting to Christianity. Everyone has his own way and his own treatment by the Lord, because it's a personal relationship. So this works. But again, God does not want us to depend on other things other than faith, because these things sometimes, Danny, let's take it from another side. Sometimes a miracle distract people from God. Some people goes behind St. George. Some people goes behind Saint Marina, Saint Damian, and they forget the Lord himself. They think about the miracles and the
intercession of the saints, and the saints come gods.
Exactly.
That's what
exactly.
you're saying. Every day there is mass. Every day there is synaxarium.
Yes.
And every day there's a test. The synaxarium is really a testimony or a book of testimonials about saints who were had went ahead or like ahead of us in time, and now we know the miracles that happened in their life, whether it be actual miracles like supernatural ones or their change in character, something like so. And it is daily, and the church actually pushes that concept daily. And that's why I'm telling you it's neat, and that's why people go for apologetics. That's why people go for this scientific. I mean, when you say my faith doesn't need the extra proof that the Shroud of Turin is the one for Jesus Christ, and I'm telling you, I'm happy for that. I'm happy for you, but I'm also happy to know that there's further evidence, because some people need it, and I will need it. I am not there. I am not above that. And I will tell you that it is.
But what happens if another research came and defies the recent research results?
Then something.
Your faith will be shaking.
Maybe a bit. But then something else should come.
But that's a problem.
I understand, but here's something bad. When God catered to Thomas, the saying, okay, then He will cater to me. I have this trust, whether directly or through someone, whether through an apparition or through someone teaching me something. And why does the Bible work? Because everything written there resonates with what's inside us. Why? Because it's written by the Creator. In different ways, but it has this resonance with us. That's why we choose to believe it. We choose.
Yes.
It's a daily choice. And when you have doubts, you can have doubts, but it's a daily choice. And what I'm telling you, that it's not God waiting to see if we're going to make that choice, we're going to make it or fail. It's actually Him being on our side, helping us pass that choice, make the right choice, and not the other way around.
Yes. Yeah.
Ta-da!
Yeah. It's always, Danny, time is killing us. So it's always very, very exciting to talk with you. And this was a hot topic. And
likewise, man. I mean, I learned.
Yeah. And we learn from each other. And we will direct our final conclusion to the audience. We need them to participate, to share their ideas
and questions, please.
Exactly. What do you like? What do you think? Are miracles leading to faith, or is the opposite way around? Do you need miracles in your life?
Do you need science?
Do you need science to prove your faith, or it just goes without saying you are a simple believer and you believe in everything that was written in the Bible and nothing else will be shaking your faith? Thank you, Danny.
Thank you,
Thank
Fadi.
you, everyone.
See you next time.
See you next time. And the broadcast.
The broadcast.
Yeah.